Well, good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here tonight, you guys. It's 11 p.m. here at home, but it's early in the morning in Colombo, Sri Lanka, and I cannot believe that we have a very special guest, a dear friend of mine, Mr. Riyaz Rauf, who is joining us this evening. Welcome, welcome, Riyaz.
Gordon, thank you so much. It's always been a pleasure knowing you, interacting with you, and today doing a program together. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, likewise, thank you so much. I know you're extremely busy right now, and you're taking the time early morning in Sri Lanka, in Colombo, to be with us. Before we get started, folks, if you're joining us for the very first time, do me a favor in the comments, type a one, so both Riaz and I can acknowledge you and thank you for being here. If you're able to, maybe even share with us your name and what city or country you're from. Okay. And if you have any questions, write them in the comment and we'll do our best to see if he asks if you have any questions for him to try to answer them during our conversation right now. And if not, he'll circle back and answer some of them afterwards. So, what I want to do is before we get started, I was at the Century 21 Gala uh, just a few weeks ago, and I call it the Night of Champions. I mean, the energy, the excitement, the enthusiasm, the recognition is incredible. But Riaz, I want to say congratulations because not only did you win the Centurion Award, but you've also won the Double Centurion Award for 5 consecutive years in a row from Century 21 here in Canada. So I want to say congratulations, Riaz.
Thank you very much, Gordon. And also, I will be doing some injustice if I don't give credit to my son Rushdie,
Yes.
because sometimes, as in any business, when there are few transactions you are short of to get to your desired target, he always helped me out with the numbers at his own expense. So I would like to recognize him also being my trusted partner. Thank you.
That's amazing. I mean, what would we do? What would we do without our boys, right?
Absolutely.
Amazing. I'm going to have some rapid questions I'm going to throw at you tonight. Would that be okay?
Absolutely fine.
Awesome. And some of them, some of them may be personal, and I'm going to put you on the spot. Yes, I want to start off with I understand at an early age, it was actually on your 15th birthday that you received one of the largest gifts you ever had. And that's when you started your entrepreneurial journey. Could you share with us a little bit about that?
Um, Yeah, I'm sure my son or my wife would have leaked that information to you. Yes, I would love to share with the audience. It's very important because now I'm a parent. I understand what that means, and I'm sure in the audience, people who are watching, it's not only real estate and other stuff. It's also all to do with life. So you might also gain something out of it. See, when I was 15, on my 15th birthday, I come back from school, and my mom has the biggest ever well wrapped gift for me. It was about 1 meter, 1 square meter. That's and then I opened it and to see it was a washing machine. And um, 45, almost 45, 42 years ago, washing machines were new to Sri Lanka, and I had the luxury of having a washing machine. And my mom said, from today onwards, you wash and dry your own clothing, and no more laundry for you. So
Wow.
that was my beginning, and that helped me to become an entrepreneur because we have two annexes in our homes that were leased out to foreigners. So they were getting their laundry done from the laundromat. So I approached them and said, you know what, I'm washing my clothing and drying my clothing anyway, why don't you give your clothing also, I'll do it for you. And I was doing for a cheaper rate, and I did it for a cheaper rate, and kept on earning some good pocket money. And honestly, till I went to US in from 15 by 22, I never took pocket money from my parents.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
So that was good.
Talk about humble beginnings, right? Washing clothes and washing other people's clothes. I mean, you were an entrepreneur at such a young age. That's
Hey,
incredible.
it came with some French benefits. Some of the clothings of these people were they were foreign. That's really nice. I do admit now. one or two nights. I've been to nightclubs and parties wearing some of those clothing.
That's funny. Yes, let me ask you this. I'm going to fast forward to now here in Canada because that's where I met you. And
Yes.
in the real estate industry, we just mentioned about the success you have had uh, over the last 5 years, double centurion. What what is your philosophy when it comes to real estate?
See, at the end of the day, I would say definitely as an entrepreneur, as a realtor, I do have an agenda in speaking to my clients to invest in a property, buy or sell. That's where we make our revenues. That's granted, and that's the honest truth. However, how you get about to that is a different way. So me and Rushdie, what we have decided, we'll get around that and communicate with the client. We never tell a client to buy or sell a property. What we always want is to build up the confidence for them to make the decision whenever they are ready. It could be 3 months, it could be 6 months. But our philosophy for them is two things. Number one, we tell them, if done right with the first property, you could always own three properties within 5 years. That's one thing, and we explain how that is being done. That's one. And on a social side, we also seen people who have bought homes and doing well. We always have a commitment to say, through real estate, we can help you to um, increase the change the intellectual capacity of your family. In
Wow.
other words, if you have a son or a daughter, through real estate, you can get them to study even up to PhD and not stop with the first degree itself. So that's another philosophy we tell them. It has worked perfectly good for us, and all the children have started appreciating that.
I love that, Riaz, because often we want our children to go to school, get their masters in business, or become an engineer or a doctor. But I love what you just said, right? Teaching our kids how to become financially free by buying real estate. Love that. I think we may be.
Same community, even the people whom I know. See what happens is a child goes to the university, takes a student loan, comes out of the university, she or he comes out with about 70 to 80,000 student loan, which they drag for the next 10 years to pay at 6% interest. They get married, they get promoted, they settle in their life. What we are basically saying is, that's not what Canada is all about. Canada has the best of universities, best of academic opportunities. By the time your child is in university for 4 years, you should have invested in some small property where you sell it for 4 years, pay off the student loan, and let your child take another student loan to do her master's or PhD. I mean,
Wow.
you're just changing the generational academic qualifications of a family.
That's amazing. And for some of my friends who are watching, and for some of uh, Riaz's friends who are watching, I want to say thank you to my friend Riyaz Rauf. He's actually in Colombo, Sri Lanka right now. And thank you so much for joining us from there. So if you hear the internet a little choppy, that may be one of the reasons is because we're like in two different parts of the world. Yes,
So,
when my kids went to university, they rented from friends whose parents bought a house. So some of their friends' parents bought a house. My kids rented from them. And then exactly like what you said, 4 years later, my kids came home, but her friends whose parents bought them a house was still had a house and had all this additional equity from their house. Did
absolutely.
were you the agent that sold them their house?
I wish I was.
That is such a brilliant concept. Now, what about the market today with interest rates being high and so on? Do you think it's still a good time for people to buy in the Canadian marketplace?
Um, Say, Gordon, you just gave an introduction of me. I should also do justice by telling the audience that uh, Gordon is from Hong Kong, who did extremely well as a realtor in Hong Kong, in Toronto, and in Vancouver, and in other parts of the world. he was so successful because in real estate, yes, when we do well, we benefit. We got a lot of financial rewards and opportunities. What Gordon decided was he even decided to move out of real estate, but still do real estate investment for himself, but to do other things in his life, which gives him ample satisfaction. Awesome, Gordon. So I'm
Thank,
sure these questions
thank
are
you,
coming
Riaz.
from your real estate days.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Just to answer the question, Gordon, everybody says the best time to buy was 25 years ago, or maybe
Mm,
yesterday or today. But I tend to differ a little bit in today's market. My straight answer is if somebody is buying, yes, it's good to buy starting probably in March. It's a good time to buy. Absolutely good time to sell is anytime after July, which also means up to July, there is a good opportunity that you can buy something. But you might be able to buy, but you're going to pay a high premium on those properties. Yes, we have
I
had the
love it. You know, you
interest
said,
rates.
mhm. Sorry, go
The
ahead,
interest rates
Riaz.
have gone up. The interest rates have gone up, and that is what's suppressing the market at the moment. But last year, every year we have eight occasions that the Bank of Canada announced the interest rates about the decisions. We have had one already for this year, and that's a slight 0.25 increase. And there are
Yes.
seven more opportunities with the next one coming up in March. I think in March they are going to be neutral, or it's a zero interest rate increase. But I think between now and for the first half, at least till about July, they will not increase or even reduce. They won't even
Wow.
reduce. But all
Okay.
what they're trying to do is give the market a stability, saying it's not increasing, and
Stability.
probably stability. So that's the stability that investors and first-time home owners were looking for.
Okay.
Once that stability comes in, the market is going to take off like crazy.
Wow, I like that. Thank you so much for, because you know, I know a lot of buyers and sellers are concerned about what's going to happen next to interest rates. But first-time home buyers, you mentioned first-time home buyers. What would you recommend to someone who's thinking of buying a first home for the first time right now?
Yeah, God, it's good time to buy. But what I would like to also say is when we look at first-time home buyers, I generally categorize them into three categories. One
Okay.
is the easy one. Say for example, my son is buying a home or your son is buying a home. That's the easy one. They are first-time home buyers where they have their parents who have made the wealth by investing 3 or 4 years ago. There's equity in that house, and they can use the equity and get onto a new house for their children. That's easy. That's one kind of first-time home buyers. Then we also have the home buyers who are in Canada. They have been in Canada for so long, or they're Canadians, some even 15, 20 years, and they're buying the house. That's also relatively a little bit easy because they have all the credit scores or everything established, and there's an income stream. That's a second category. And then we have the third category, which are the newcomers who have come in, new immigrants who have been here for 2 or 3 years, and they're paying a high rent and they're not saving up anything. And these people coming into the market. So these three different people have three different approaches, and I will try to answer the most difficult one first about a new immigrant coming in. So when a new immigrant comes in, the biggest issue that he has is he and his family has to establish himself. That's one. And
Mm,
also, no matter what, the people who came in, they were doing highly respectable jobs or businesses back
mm,
home, right? Either they were doctors, lawyers, whatever profession they were the best in those professions. And when they come into Canada for about a year or a year and a half, they may not be able to find the same job they were doing. So they're
mm.
going to struggle, and they're going to bleed some of their savings during this period. And also during this period, they would be visiting people like you and me and other people, and we entertain them at home. They always say, Riyaz, Gordon, we would like to own a home like this,
Yes.
right? And
Wow.
first thing I tell the newcomers is never ever go with that route. For us to own this house, for me it took 13 years and three different transactions. I lived in a 1,200 square foot home for almost 5 years. I had to sell it, make money, buy a bigger one, sell that, move on to even bigger one. So we have taken few steps to reach here. So you have enough time to do that. But
Wow.
let's get the foot in the door and buy something very small and manageable and stress free, and then look at liquidating that in 3 years and then go for a bigger one.
Love it. Love it. That's really good advice. Now, I notice you're in Colombo right now.
Yes, sir.
And you there was a Canadian real estate lawyer that was with you, I saw?
Yes, yes. So, Gordon, good that you asked me. I just want to clarify something. I'm not an immigration consultant, or I don't
Okay.
work for immigration companies. But what I do is, whenever immigration consultants go to Sri Lanka, I sponsor and piggyback with them. I take part in
Nice.
their events, and I also speak to the people what life is in Canada. Canada is a place to thrive and not to survive.
Yeah.
So if you want to survive, you can do in your own countries. There's no need to come. The whole objective is for me to build up a relationship with them and explain to them when they arrive one day into Canada, their biggest challenge, even before getting a job, is to get a place for rent.
Mm.
Because as tenants, they do not have credit scores, or they do not have a guaranteed job. So most landlords will be telling, instead of the first and last 1, 2 months rent, they will keep on demanding 6 months or 1 year's rent upfront. I mean, I can't blame them, because they also need to, they're leasing out a $1 million
Yeah.
home to these people, and they want to make sure they can pay. So
Yeah.
I always
Yes.
try to try to try to start talking to them and tell them to bring your credit cards from back home, bring your tax documents from back home. We might be able to convince, maybe even because, say for example, if somebody is coming from XYZ country, then we try to match them with a landlord who is from XYZ country, so that they understand the language, the culture, and also difficulties of a new immigrant. um,
Yes.
the benefit that we have is, done right, they have regards for us, and one day, maybe in 3 or 5 years time, when they want to buy a house or invest in a home, they would always approach us. So this is basically getting them into speaking about real estate and investments even before they arrive in Toronto.
I love that, and I love how you're giving back. How you're giving back, right? And you taking the time to help somebody coming over for the first time. I remember when when my parents first immigrated to Canada, we lived in the second floor of someone's house. Six of us, right? Like second floor. I think five of my brothers and sisters. We lived in one little room, right? And it's tough. And there are folks who immigrate here. They have no idea how to open up a bank account. I had friends who got here and it's winter. They don't even have winter boots and gloves. I mean, it sounds as silly as little that. And so for somebody thinking of coming, immigrating here, to have you be able to give them some direction,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
True, Gordon. But there's a slight difference between. I mean, this is the immigrant story. Every immigrant has gone through this, but there's a slight difference from the immigrants who came up to about 15 years ago and now. See, that there were different kinds of immigrants, and most people in the last 15 years ago came to survive, because they
Mm,
as a mode of survival, they came to Canada.
okay.
Today it has changed a little bit. I
Okay.
see probably about 80% of the Canadians, immigrants, apart from the students, they come to thrive in Canada,
Mm,
because Canada, the Canadian economy and the system we have has given them a level playing field to do what they want without any discrimination in any part of the country.
nice.
Second, they also know the sky is the limit as far as you believe in yourself and you stick to your goal.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So our special guest Riyaz is actually in Colombo, Sri Lanka right now. So there's a bit of a lag in the internet right now. That may be the reason, and I'm sure he's going to pop right back in. There he is. Riyaz, are you there?
Thank you, I'm here.
Okay, you're back.
You can hear me,
I
Gordon?
can hear you. Yes, go ahead,
Okay,
Riyaz.
perfect. Yeah, we are there. We are there. Let's go ahead.
Okay, so now we talked about first-time home buyers. What about investors? Maybe folks who have more than one property, multiple properties. What would you tell them right now about the real estate market?
Yeah, again, a small clarification is that, the difference when we say, for example, there's a new immigrant who comes in and he comes and tells us he wants to buy, he has two children, himself and wife. He wants to buy a three bedroom with one car park, a house. And, to buy a decent one of that nature in today's market in Toronto, you need a minimum of 700 to 750,000
Mm,
and the income qualification of about 120,000 salary scale. So what we suggest is, in case, rather than waiting for another 6 months or 2 years till you accumulate that amount of money and credit to buy that house, why don't you continue to stay in the same house where you are now, but at the
okay,
meantime buy a small property for about 500,000, lease it out to someone, pay
got
the
it.
mortgage with the lease, and after 3 years, accumulate that money and buy your proper property. Okay,
Okay,
but now,
makes sense.
now in yeah, see what has happened is this. What I say now, he's a first-time home buyer, but his mindset has to be changed to think like an investor.
Mm, mm,
Because this is why I always go out of the way to explain. Just because he's buying his first home doesn't mean he's not an investor. Even the
yes,
first home buyers, say for example, your son or my son buying a first home today, for them that's not the home they are going to live.
right, right.
That's basically a foot to get
Yeah,
to what
just
they
to get
want
in,
to.
right? Just to get their foot in. It's not the dream
Yeah.
home, anyways.
So they are not going to look at a lakefront or lake view or what. They will look at it for this quantum of money, how much of rent I get, or how much can I sell in 3 months. So
Wow,
in other words, in today's market, everybody is an investor,
right. I love it.
right? Everybody is an investor.
Yeah,
And for investors, then you also get the savvy investors who own more than two homes.
yes.
Um, See, the statistics were out, I think, about 2 days ago, which shows that 22% of the homeowners in Toronto are investors.
Wow, that's a pretty big number, 20%.
This is homeowners, right?
Homeowners, yeah.
Landed homeowners. 42% of the condo owners are investors.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, now let's go to London, Ontario. 96% of the condo owners are investors.
Wow. Why do you
This
think
is
that is? Why do you think that is? Yes.
that's basically because a father buying a condo and letting his daughter and another roommate stay for the next 4 years,
Wow.
and then he sells it after 4 years, and the other buyer is also another investor who is buying to send his daughter and her friend, leasing it out for another 4 years.
What a great idea. What a great so, if anybody's watching right now, any of my friends who are at home, my amazing friend Riyaz, he is from Toronto, but he's in Colombo, Sri Lanka right now. And he's taken the time to share with us some of his real estate experience. Yes, I wish I would have had this conversation with you when my kids were going off to college and university, because again, my kids paid rent to their friends' parents who bought them houses and they were renting. That's brilliant. So if anybody's thinking of, you've got kids coming up in the next year, 10 years, 5 years, and they're going off to university or college, talk to Riaz and see if there's an opportunity for you to invest in, in real estate. Riaz, what about, so that now that we talked about condos, I hear a lot of people talking about buying pre-construction condos or pre-construction homes. Isn't that a risk in today's market because it's not going to be built for 4 or 5 years? What if the builder decides not to build? Like, what do you think about pre-construction?
Say in life, everything is a risk.
Mm,
It's how we minimize it. Say for example, I drive on the highway every day in Toronto, right?
mm,
I know my risk of getting a speeding ticket on the highway is much more lesser than if I were to drive on the local. It's a given thing because there are less cops on the highway than on the local, although you have to respect the speed limits. Similarly, when you get into investments, this is not monopoly which you play with, play money. This
mm.
is your own life savings. It's what you could put to your children's education, what you can put for retirement, and
Wow.
you decide to put into real estate. So that comes with a huge responsibility of you knowing how much am I going to get as return for every dollar that I invest. That's number one. And we are not here to gamble with it. This is where there's a huge difference between a real estate gambler and a real estate investor. The investor looks at holding a property for minimum of 1,000 days. That's my philosophy. If you don't hold a property for 1,000 days, do not buy that property. That's a three. That's when I say 1,000 days. It's a 3-year plan. So in a 3 year, you will have a bad year, a very good year, and a neutral year. At the end of the third year, you're going to gain at least 10% appreciation for every year. If you buy a property for 500,000, I can, God willing, I can help sell that for 650,000, which is a 30% appreciation, which is good enough to be an investor.
Wow.
Not a flipper where you buy today thinking I'm going to sell in 6 months
Right.
and I'm going to make 100,000. We are not in that. For that, we got to
Mm.
go to the casino.
Wow. So buy
Now,
and hold, right? Buy and
buy
hold.
and hold.
Yes.
And the question really you asked me was, what about the dangers in investment properties in
Yes.
pre-construction? Um, say, God, you come from Hong Kong. I lived my childhood in Hong Kong.
Mm.
We both know the shortest runway in the world is in the Kowloon or Hong Kong airport.
Yeah. Kowloon, right? Yeah.
Kowloon, right? It's the shortest. So when the runway is short, you got to take off fast as possible. Right?
Mm.
When the runway is long, you can take things easy. Now, in pre-construction, when you look at condos, the condos take an average of 4.5 to 5 years to construct. So what you buy today takes about 5 years. You have 5 years of appreciation.
Mm.
In between, that is at least 60 months of appreciation. In between, there'll be 18 months, there's no appreciation, things go wrong.
Right.
But you got the other 32 months that covers up for it. So at the end of the fifth year, when you get the key, you're going to make 40% plus profit on that property. Now, on the other hand, when you buy a house or what we call a detached or a semi-detached or a town home, which is a freehold, the builder's time period is generally between 12 months to 18 months. When it is 12 to 18 months, your runway is very short. Now, for example, people who bought properties in 2021, a house, probably they bought it at 1.5 million and the bank is valuing it now at 1.3, and he's even struggling to get a mortgage.
Mm.
That's because the runway was short. So you
Right.
got to, when you're buying pre-construction, always look for a longer
Longer runway.
average period that
Love
comes
that.
into. Yeah.
Sounds like the making of a new book by you called look a long runway or something, right? For real estate.
We could always have that. Yes.
I love it. Yes, real estate prices are down right now in Toronto by 15, I think 16, 18%. Why is it that people are not you think people would be rushing out there to buy right now because it's like, 15 to 18% below what it was a year ago. Why do you think they're not rushing out there to buy right now?
There are few reasons, and mainly there are two reasons for it. One is we are having what is called the tug of war. Sellers are not willing to sell, buyers are not
Mm.
willing to buy.
Tug of
So
war.
we are having a tug of war.
Wow,
So
I like that.
the
Except
green line in the middle is not moving either way. It's staying. Because the investors and the others are saying, no, I'm waiting till you give it to me at 800,000. Saying, no, I know I can sell it in June for a million.
wow.
I don't want to sell now for 800,000. I can sell in June for a million.
Yeah.
So people are holding on. That's one of the reasons why the property prices are not dropping as much as what they thought.
Mm.
Now, again, we are talking of a drop of over the last 1 year. We are talking of a drop of about 18 to 20%.
Okay.
Gordon, this is from the
18
peak.
to 20%. Wow.
Yeah, but this is from the peak to now,
Okay.
because
Okay.
in January and February of 2022, we had 250,000 appreciation.
Mm. Wow.
We lost that over the other 10 years, 10 months. But we ended 2021 price wise plus 8% year over
Mm.
year. But year over year is not the way to look at, because year over year is not the calculation we should look. We should look at the momentum, which is basically month over month. From November to December, what's the price increase? December to January, what it is? January to February, what it is? When you see that momentum going up, that is where you buy. Like
Love it.
the official way of looking at a recession is, they will say 2 quarters of negative growth.
Okay.
The best time to buy real estate, 2 months of positive value appreciation. If you have 2 months of value appreciation, third month, it's a no-brainer. Buy that property,
All right. So are you
because you're
seeing
more.
that are you seeing that happening right now, those 2 months?
I'm seeing that happening from Jan to February and February to March.
So March may be a
Uh,
good time to buy then, you're saying. That's just around the
yes,
corner.
yes, because what happened was in January, the interest rate uh, holding back, or the minor increase happened only in the third week. So the market picked up from the fourth week, only 1 week of January. So
Okay.
now we are having the full month of February, and then we will see that appreciation coming into play.
Okay. So if someone is thinking of buying, this is maybe a good time to reach out and talk to their realtor or to
It's
talk
a
to you.
it's a absolutely nice time to start, because it's always good to run around for about 1 month studying the market, and then prepare to buy it in the following month, rather than
Okay.
rushing. If you wait till March and to buy in March, you can do that, but you'll be more informed and empowered, because if you run around with me for about a month, look at some properties and say, let's wait and see what it sells next week. Hold and gauge that you're also learning with your monopoly money, rather than putting your money.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Riaz. I'm having so much fun and learning from you. I've got you're over in Sri Lanka right now, and I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us. And I'd love to have you back again on another interview. But before we go, Riaz, I have a couple of questions I want to ask you, and I'm going to put you on the spot if you're okay with that.
I wish you had told me the question, but that's fine. Let's go
Okay.
ahead.
I love a household name. When I first saw it, I thought, okay, a household name, but it's neat, household name. And then I saw you with your luggage. Your luggage has like all three pieces of your luggage has like a household name on there. That's pretty brilliant. How did you come up with that name? Who came up with this
Um,
name idea?
See, I was a firm believer in in having your audience interact with you, right?
Hmm.
See, at the end of the day, when we go to sell a property, the clients listen to us.
Hmm.
So why don't you listen to the clients, but they think when you're starting off? So once I've done my before, just before the final exams for the real estate industry, I put out a post and I told my friends, I am going to be a realtor. I have certain things in mind. I need a banner heading or a payoff tag. Why don't you all suggest things of this nature? So I got a lot. One thing that somebody said, Rauf for a roof, right? And there were many like that. And the household name was a combination from partly my son Rushdie, and partly by an ex-colleague of mine who lives now in Switzerland. They had something similar, and then out of that we coined this, and both of them liked it. So that's how it's basically a feedback from the clientele.
I love it. Love it. Getting feedback from your clients and actually taking what they're because sometimes we don't listen. Right. I need to learn to listen better, and listening to our clients is so important. So thank you for teaching us that lesson.
Yeah, say when it comes to listen, if you don't mind, I'd like to, because most people might be interested in real estate who are listening. Now, one of the things that I tell them is, when you buy a home, say for example, somebody is buying their third home. This is their dream home where they are going to settle down, right?
Mm,
I need to sit with them, listen to everything they tell me, and I need to deliver what they want.
wow.
If they want greenery behind, they have to have it, because this is their final
Love
destination,
it. I love
and
it.
they want it. I have to listen to them 100%, and at least I deliver 90% of that.
Yeah.
Now, when it comes to investment property, I tell my clients, you listen to me.
Yes.
Because the investors' needs are different. You don't have
Right.
emotional to it. You can't be attached. I can buy you what I think I can sell for you in 3 months' time. Sorry,
Yes.
3 years' time. So
Wow.
90% of I have to decide for them 90%, and their
Yes.
brief is only 10%.
Wow, I love that. So you, in essence, you now have become their advisor on how to actually really create wealth in real estate when it comes to their investing.
See, I like to go that way, but I agree to an extent. But what I would like is all I do is I do two things.
Okay.
I give them a blueprint that they can work with.
Okay.
So their purchasing can be today or 3 years, it doesn't matter. But
Mm.
how you get about is very important. The second,
Yes.
I empower them with knowledge how, what, and when to do.
Love it.
Those are two things.
Yeah.
And I always tell another one more thing with clients is that I tell them, guys, it's like a marriage. If
Yeah.
you want to work with me, tell me that you're working with me and we are good. If you
Yeah.
are not, that's fine. But what we do not want is, in the industry where clients go wrong is
Mm.
clients start talking to too many realtors,
I love it.
and then
Yes.
when they come to a realtor, but the realtor does it, it doesn't matter what, go and park him wherever you
Yeah.
want within the next 30 days,
Yes. It's
right?
so true.
Now,
Yes, because
now it
sorry, go ahead. No, you
sorry,
finish. My apologies.
because it serves only the realtor's need, because this realtor got scared. If you don't deliver their dreams within the next 3 months, they might go to another realtor.
Mm.
But
Wow.
the client, little does the client know, you got something that you don't even deserve.
Mm.
So it's very important when you select, quote different realtors, speak to different realtors, finally decide with whom you want to work, and have confidence in the realtor. I tell my clients, don't buy for the next 6 months.
Mm.
I mean, 6 months ago, I was telling him. In
Yes.
April, I was telling my clients, don't buy for 6 months,
Yeah.
because I know I have no fear these clients will buy for somebody else.
Yes. Yeah.
So you need it's absolute marriage between the client and the realtor.
Love that because it's easy to just make that sale so you get that commission, right? But it's so much better to make sure, like Napoleon Hill says, render service, and that service is you looking after the best interest of your client. I know you and I talked about that, at your
So,
office
so,
the other day, not
so
off air here. So I love that you're going the extra mile for your clients. What I meant to also say earlier was Napoleon Hill talks about wise counsel, right? So sometimes we go get opinions from other people, and sometimes we get opinion from people who don't even have experience in what they're
absolutely.
talking about. So, right. So when it comes to buying that next property, that investment property, like what you said, it's so important to get the right information. Would you agree with that?
Thanks. Thank you, sir. Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got one last question for you because again, and I know it's late here at home and you've got such a busy schedule there as well. What this is a personal question, the last couple of years with COVID, and if not COVID, human nature, we tend to make excuses for other things, right? If it's not the pandemic, it's systemic, it's something. When it comes to challenges in life, how do you personally deal with challenges?
See, God, we never know what challenges will be thrown out to us tomorrow.
Hmm.
Today, I have a presentation to speak to about 50 people here at the Hilton between 3 and 3:45. I do not know how that reaction is, what questions I'm going to get. These
Mm,
are challenges. These are smaller challenges. There could be bigger challenges. But one thing that doesn't change with a human from the day he was born is, what is your goal in life? Challenges will come, challenges will go. You have a goal in life. Or if you're a student by 18, you should know what your goals are. Once you have a goal, you keep on changing your strategies how to get there.
wow,
You keep on changing strategies, but you don't
love it.
compromise
So
on the
you don't
goal.
change your goal. You don't change your goals. Your
I have
strategies may change, right? Yeah.
you never change, you don't rework or change your goal, but keep changing your strategy. Canada, I had worked for $12 an hour seven from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Wow.
Stacking detergents onto the shelves.
Mm.
But
Wow.
is that the goal that I came to Canada for? No.
Mm.
But what synergy does it have with the goals? Yeah, I want to do well in Canada and I want to study and get into real, etc. Now, what
Mm.
I did was I worked the night shift. So I come home by 8 o'clock, I sleep till 12, and then I got from 1 o'clock till 11 o'clock in the night. I am free. I can go online. I can do my studies. I can go and follow courses. I can send emails for jobs. I have all the time in the world. I was as if it's a work. The world is working during that hour, and I am working.
Wow. That's incredible.
That's a strategy that I adopted. So never compromise on your goal. Keep compromising on your strategies.
Love it. That to me is an incredible landed for success story.
Thank you.
Right? What
Appreciate that,
you
son.
doing the
Thank you.
night shift, sleeping for only 4 hours, and then do whatever it took, for your studies and advancing your career. Folks, if
That's
you guys are
but that's
watching,
on a positive.
go
That's on
ahead.
a positive side. Now, see, for example, I don't want to mention names, but couple of billionaires, right? I mean, when you
Yes.
look at them, yep, they would have told, or the lady would have said, you know what, let's call it a day, our marriage.
Mm.
Right? If that
Wow.
is part of the strategy, so be it.
Wow.
Because you would never compromise on your goal.
Love it.
The strategy could be to separate from your spouse and go for another one or not to go, but your goal still remains the same.
Wow. Never compromise on your goals. Well, once again,
Goal.
for everyone who's watching, thank you so much for joining us. Riyaz, thank you for taking the time to be here. I look forward to having you back on another interview. Do you have any final comments? Any final comments before we go tonight? This morning?
It's just that God, what I would like to say is, it's all to do with family.
Mm,
You got your family life. You got your family life right. You got your
yes,
family behind you. With God's grace, sky is the limit to achieve your goals. Uh,
absolutely.
make them part of you. Make them part of you. Relish every moment that you got with your family. You never know whether tomorrow is there.
I love it. That's what we do. What we do is for our families. Is the family is so important. And I know Rushdie has an event tonight where you guys are giving
Yeah,
back.
he's at the event. He's at the event right now, and that's my daughter-in-law's first social event in Canada.
Wow,
That will be lovely. And one more thing, if I may, with your permission,
absolutely.
Gordon, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the entire community that supported me when I wanted them. I
Yes,
always say I was nurtured and nourished by the
yes.
community that supports me,
Wow.
because it's true, anybody might come and buy a house or do a transaction with me now, but
Yeah.
imagine the people who came to me and helped me when I had nothing.
Wow.
Imagine
Wow.
when I have not even done 3 or 4 transactions, there were people who were trusting me. And thank you so much to
Yeah.
God for creating that opportunity, and thank God for all those people who supported me then. They're always remembered, and thank you.
Love it. Gratitude, right? Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, gratitude. And that's so great what you said, the people who supported you when you needed them the
Blindly.
most, right? As well. So it's so great to be able to remember the people who supported you. Yeah. And they're still supporting you, which is amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Riaz, and everyone, thank you once again for being here. And until the next time, everyone, have an amazing, amazing evening and an amazing morning.